Good morning, students. Today, let's read the chapter from our supplementary reader movements. And the name of the chapter, the story is In the Kingdom of Fools. This is basically a Kannada folk tale here, which is written by A.K. Ramanujan. In the Kingdom of Fools. It is believed that fools are so dangerous that only very wise people can manage them. Who are the fools in this story? What happens to them? Let's find out. You might have heard similar kind of story in Hindi, or you might have heard the name at least, Andher Nagari Chaupat Raja. Yes, it is almost similar to that, the Kingdom of Fools. Now let's read it. In the Kingdom of Fools, both the king and the minister were idiots. They didn't want to run things like other kings. So they decided to change night into day and day into night. So they ordered that everyone should be awake at night, till their fields, means plough their fields, and run their businesses only after dark. Whatever activity, jobs they do, they will do only after dark, during the night, and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. In the morning they shall go to sleep. Anyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. This was the order of the king. The people did as they were told for fear of death. The king and the minister were delighted at the success of their project, their orders. One day, a guru and his disciple, his student, arrived in the city. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. No one could be seen around. Everyone was asleep. Not a mouse stirring, moving here and there. Even the cattle had been taught to sleep during the day, by day. The two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them and wandered around town till the evening. And when suddenly the whole town woke up, now it was evening time and everybody woke up and went about its nightly business, means every activities they started doing. The two men are were hungry. Now that the shops were open, they went to buy some groceries, some everyday items or food items. To their astonishment or surprise, they found that everything cost the same, a single dudu. It's in the Kannada language, local language. Dudu must be the coin used ancient time. Like I mentioned, Andher Nagari Chaupat Raja. So earlier time in India there was currency called Ana, ek Ana, do Ana. Same manner there was dudu. So everything cost the same, a single dudu. Whatever, whether they bought a measure of rice or a bunch of bananas, it cost a dudu. Everything cost a dudu. The guru and his disciple were delighted. They were happy. They had never heard of anything like this. They could buy all the food they wanted for a rupee. It was very cheap. When they had cooked and eaten, the guru realized that this was a kingdom of fools and it would not be a good idea for them to stay there. This is no place for us. Let's go, he said to his disciple. But the disciple did not want to leave the place. Everything was cheap here. All he wanted was good, cheap food. The guru said, they are all fools. They won't last very long. It would not remain for a long time, and you cannot tell what they will do to you next. What they can do to you, you cannot tell about that, as they are all fools. But the disciple wouldn't listen to the Guru's wisdom. He wanted to stay. The Guru finally gave up and said, "Do what you want, I am going," and left. The disciple stayed on, ate his fill every day, bananas and ghee and rice and wheat, and grew fat like a street side sacred bull. So everything was so cheap, he was getting all things very easily and eating ghee and rice and wheat, and he grew very fat like a bull. One bright day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. A thief entered a merchant's house, a big businessman's house. He had made a hole in the wall, and through that hole he entered, he sneaked in. And as he was carrying out his loot, whatever things he could get from there, it was carrying it out. The wall of the old house collapsed, fell down on his head, and killed him on the spot. That thief was killed because the wall fell on his head. His brother, thief's brother, ran to the king and complained, "Your Highness, when my brother was pursuing his ancient trade, a wall fell on him and killed him. This merchant is to blame. He should have built a good strong wall. You must punish the wrongdoer and compensate the family for this injustice." So he said to the king, "My brother, who was doing his ancient job, means the job which our family has been doing for a long time. So this is the merchant's mistake. He had not made the wall strong enough. If he had made it strong, it would not have fallen. So you have to punish this merchant and do something to compensate, to give some compensation to the family." The king said, "Justice will be done, don't worry," and at once summoned the owner of the house. He called the owner of the house. When the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, "What's your name?" "Such and such, your highness," means he told whatever his name was. "Were you at home when the dead man burgled your house?" "When the man who is now dead, when he entered your house, were you at your home at the time?" "Yes, my lord. He broke in and the wall was weak. It fell on him." The accused pleads guilty. Your wall killed this man's brother. The person who is accusing you is asking for the judgment, justice, and your wall killed this man's brother. So you have murdered a man. We have to punish you. "Lord," said the helpless merchant, "I didn't put up the wall. I am not the one who made the wall. It's really the fault of the man who built the wall. He did not build it right. You should punish him." "And who's that?" "My lord, this wall was built in my father's time. I know the man. He is an old man now. He lives nearby. The man who had built this wall during my father's time. Now he is old, but I know where he lives." The king sent out messengers to bring in the bricklayer who had built the wall, the bricklayer, the mason, Mistri, who built the wall. They brought him, tied hand and foot. "You there, did you build this man's wall in his father's time?" he was asked. "Yes, my lord, I did," the old man said. "What kind of a wall is this that you built? It has fallen on a poor man and killed him. You have murdered him. We have to punish you by death." Before the king could order the execution, to execute the punishment of death, the poor bricklayer pleaded, requested, "Please listen to me before you give your orders. It is true I built the wall and it was no good, but that was because my mind was not on it. I was not focused on that. Why? I remember very well a dancing girl who was going up and down that street all day with her anklets jingling means, and I could not keep my eyes or my mind on the wall I was building. So you must get that dancing girl. I know where she lives. So now he passes on the whole responsibility to a girl, saying that that day one girl was just going here and there the whole day. She was dancing, wearing the anklets, and that all disturbed me, and because of that I was not able to do my work properly. So actually she is the culprit. She is responsible for this. So she should be punished. I know where she lives. You are right. The case deepens. The case became more deep now. The king says, we must look into it. It is not easy to judge such complicated cases. Let's get that dancer, wherever she is. Now, the dancing girl. At that time, she was a girl, now she is an old woman. She came trembling to the court. Did you walk up and down that street many years ago while this poor man was building a wall? Did you see him? She was asked. Yes, my lord, I remember it very well. So you did walk up and down. You were moving here and there with your anklets jingling, pile, making sounds. You were young and you distracted him. So he built a bad wall, and it has fallen on a poor burglar and killed him. So you have killed an innocent man. You will have to be punished. Now the case became more complicated. There is more of it. Let's see one more paragraph. She thought for a minute and said, my lord, wait, I know now why I was walking up and down that street. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me. He was a lazy scoundrel. He made so many excuses, said he would give it now and he would give it then, and so on all day. Means he was not giving me it on time. That's why I was again and again going to him. He made me walk up and down to his house a dozen times. That was when this bricklayer saw me. It's not my fault, my lord. It's the damn goldsmith's fault. Now, another twist came in the story. Poor thing. She is absolutely right, thought the king. Weighing the evidence, judging the evidence, we have got the real culprit at last. Get the goldsmith wherever he is hiding at once, the king ordered. The king's bailiffs, officers, searched for the goldsmith, who was hiding in a corner of his shop. When he heard the accusation against him, the charges against him, he had his own story to tell. What story now he tells? My lord, he said, I am a poor goldsmith. It's true, I made this dancer come many times to my door. I gave her excuse because I couldn't finish making her jewelry before I finished the rich merchant's orders. They had a wedding coming and they wouldn't wait. You know how impatient rich men are. Now, again a new twist. He said, I was not able to give this girl, this lady, her jewelry on time because I had to finish the rich merchant's order, because there was a wedding and they wanted their jewelry, and how impatient they are, they could not wait. Now, who's this rich merchant you kept? Who kept you from finishing this poor woman's jewelry? Whose order you were making? Made her walk up and down, which distracted this bricklayer, which made a mess of this wall, and which now has fallen on the innocent man and killed him. Can you name him? Who was that merchant whose order you were finishing? The goldsmith named the merchant, told which merchant it was, and he was none other than the original owner of the house whose wall had fallen. Now that same merchant it was whose wall had fallen. Now justice had come full circle. It was now a full circle. The whole thing came back to the merchant, thought the king. Back to the merchant now. When he was rudely summoned back to the court, rudely called back again to the court, that merchant, he arrived crying, "It wasn't me, but my father who ordered the jewelry. He is dead. I am innocent. I was not there that time. My father ordered it, but my father is dead now. I am innocent. I have done nothing." But the king consulted his minister and ruled decisively, means made the decision. What? It's true, your father is the true murderer. He is dead. But somehow somebody must be punished in his place. We have to give punishment to someone. You have inherited everything from that criminal father of yours, means whatever he has got, you have got it from your father. You have inherited it, his richness as well as his sins, crimes also. I knew at once, even when I first set eyes on you, that you were at the root of this horrible crime. You must die. I knew it कि you are in fact responsible for all of this. So you should die. And he ordered a new stake to be made ready for the execution. Stake means that frame on which somebody to be given the death punishment. As the servants sharpened the stake and got it ready for the final impaling of the criminal, they arranged that tool, that weapon for the punishment. They were getting it ready. It occurred to the minister that the rich merchant was somehow too thin to be properly executed on the stake. So it was found out that the stake was there, but it was of big size, and the merchant was a very thin man. According to him, this stake was too big in size, so he could not be executed using that. So he appealed to the king's common sense. The king too worried about it. Now what will happen? Its size is big, but this man is very thin. What shall we do? He said. When suddenly it struck to him that all they needed to do was to find a man fat enough to fit the stake. So then this idea came to them that they need some man who is fat enough, who is healthy enough, who could be fit in that stake. Now what happened? You may guess, but there is more in the story, so we will be completing in the second part. Okay, it's enough for today. That's all. Thank you. Bye bye.